Welcome back to my channel. It's your host. Today we're going to continue with episode number 14 on the series called How to Have a Psychic Awakening. And today's topic is how childhood shapes your psychic structure according to Jung. So let's get into it. The first 6 years of life are the most important years of our lives because this is when our psychic structure is formed. Our personality is fully formed by the age of 6. According to Jung, there are 3 layers of our psyche: our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, and our collective unconscious. What happens in childhood is that we create an ego structure or an identity based on our interactions with our environment. This is done through identification. For example, if someone praises us and we feel good about ourselves, we will identify with that image. If we're told we're bad children, we might identify with that label. Whatever the case may be, all these identities or images are stored in our subconscious mind. These then form our personality or our ego structure. So basically, our childhood experiences shape our subconscious, which in turn creates our personality. If we had perfect parents who treated us unconditionally with love and respect, we would have in other words, no psychological problems. But unfortunately, this is not how things work in reality. We all have psychological issues because we all have experienced some kind of trauma. A trauma could be something big like physical abuse or emotional neglect, but it could also be something subtle, like being ignored or overlooked. It doesn't have to be something dramatic. Anyway, what happens is that when we experience trauma, it creates a wound in our psyche. The ego then tries to protect itself from feeling that pain again. So it builds up defense mechanisms to block out those feelings. Jung called these defense mechanisms. Complexes are patterns of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that we use to protect ourselves from experiencing pain. They become a part of our subconscious, so they operate in the background of our mind. We're not even aware that they're there. Sometimes these complexes can become so strong that they control our behavior. For example, let's say you were always told as a child that you're worthless. You might start to believe that this is true, even though there is no factual basis for this belief. You might then start acting in ways that prove this belief to be true. For example, you might start failing at everything that you do. You might purposely sabotage your relationships just to prove to yourself that you are indeed unworthy of love. So now that we know how complexes work, let's take a look at how childhood shapes our psyche. The first complex that we develop is our mother complex. This is based on our relationship with our mother. If our mother was loving and caring, we will develop a positive self. We will believe that we are worthy of love and respect. If she was cold and distant, we would develop a negative self. We will believe that we are unworthy of love and that others will mistreat us. The next complex that we develop is our father complex. This is based on our relationship with our father. If our father was strong and protective, we would develop a sense of security. We would believe that the world is a safe place and that we can trust others. If he was weak and ineffective, we would develop a fear of abandonment. We would always be worried that the people that we love will leave us. The next complex that we develop is our sibling rivalry complex. This is based on our relationship with our siblings. If we were treated fairly by our parents, we would not have any issues with our siblings. We would be able to share and play together without any problems. But if one sibling was always favored over the other, it would create resentment and jealousy. This would then manifest as sibling rivalry. The next complex that we develop is our education complex. This is based on our experiences at school. If we were good students, we would develop a sense of pride and accomplishment. We would believe that we are capable of achieving our goals. But if we struggled academically, it would create feelings of inferiority. We would believe that we are not as smart as other people and that we will never amount to anything. The next complex that we develop is our peer group complex. This is based on our relationships with our friends. If we were accepted by our peers, we would develop a positive self-image. We would believe that we are likable and valuable. But if we were rejected by our peers, it would create feelings of loneliness and isolation. We would believe that there is something wrong with us and that is why nobody wants to be around us. Now, here's where things get interesting. These complexes don't just affect us during childhood. They follow us into adulthood and affect the way that we relate to people in the world around us. For example, let's say that you have a negative mother complex. This could manifest in adulthood as an addiction to drama. You might always find yourself in unstable relationships that never work out. Even if your partner treats you well, you would still find a way to sabotage the relationship because deep down you believe that you are unworthy of love. Another example could be an eating disorder. You might develop an obsession with food because you associate food with the love and care of your mother. Now, here's the good news. Just because we develop these complexes in childhood doesn't mean that we can't change them. We can change our complexes through therapy or something. This is called working through our complexes. When we do this, we're able to heal the wounds that were created in childhood and develop a more positive self. We become more flexible in our thinking and are better able to deal with the challenges of adulthood. Jung also believed that we inherit a collective unconscious from our ancestors. This collective unconscious contains universal symbols, myths, and stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. These symbols and stories express the deepest yearnings of the human soul. They reveal to us what the meaning of life is. These archetypes are universal. which means that all people share them regardless of their culture or background. Some examples of these archetypes include the hero, the villain, the mother, the father, and the child. These archetypes are all part of the collective unconscious. They're like a library of human experience. We can tap into this collective unconscious by exploring our own psyche through introspection and meditation. We can also tap into it by studying mythology and folklore. When we explore these archetypes, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. We become more in tune with the rhythms of the universe and are better able to navigate through life. Jung also believed that everyone has a unique calling or destiny. This calling is something that we must listen to if we want to live a life that is meaningful to us. This calling is different for everyone. It's like a north star that each of us must find for ourselves. This calling is often related to our purpose. It's the reason why we're here on this earth. This calling can be found through following our passions and interests. It can also be found through helping others. When we follow our calling, we're fulfilling our destiny. We're making a positive impact on the world around us. In conclusion, the first 6 years of life are crucial for our development. They shape our psyche and determine how we interact with the world around us. We all have complexes that we developed in childhood that can affect us in adulthood, but we can change these complexes through introspection and self. We also have a collective unconscious that contains universal symbols and stories that express the deepest yearnings of the human soul. By exploring these archetypes, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Lastly, each of us has a unique calling or destiny that we must follow if we want to live a life that is meaningful to us. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you'd like to support me, you can go to my support page. And if you'd like to watch more videos on my channel, you can do so here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.